Now you may ask yourself a question: how are you going to be able to transform the numbers that are shown right here, starting from the following? We have, for example, starting off with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you're putting them into place values that are shown right here, starting from this particular row and working your way down. And so the first stage of our place value is going to be this particular box that is shown right here, colored in orange, and we're going to be dealing with the following type of place values, which are H, T, O. Sometimes we can just say H, T, U. Now we're going to talk about the meaning of all these place values, the top three, and we're going to start from right to left. And so this is going to be repeating, and this repeat will be important in order for we to place these particular numbers starting from right and moving to left. So let's begin. Our specific O or our U represents O to be ones, or our U is represented as units. Now our T is represented as our tens, and finally our H is represented as our hundreds. And so in this case, we're going to be placing them in here. In this part, we're going to start with our O for our ones, T for our tens, H for our hundreds, and this repeats: 1, T, H, and then 1, and this continues on and on and on, moving from right to left. And so once we have this, we're going to move down to the next bigger place value, and this next bigger value is going to represent as our specific TH, and TH stands for our thousands. And so once we have that, we're going to repeat it: thousands, TH, and TH right there. So this is something to keep in mind, because once we are going from right to left, we are going to notice that TH is going to be right under our O, T, and H. And so the thousands is going to be right under our ones, our tens, and our hundreds, as we see right there. And next is, we're going to move how many steps now? 3 steps to the right, and we're going to move to a higher place value, which is going to be represented as the mil. And mil means what? Millions. And so our millions is going to be repeating, starting from here: mil, 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 and mil. So take note that this is going to start underneath our thousand, right after the third thousand. And so this moves again after our third million. We're going to hit the purple, which you guessed right, to be called the bill. And this represents the billion. And this continues on and on and on. We're going to look at examples of bigger. Now, after our billion that we talked about, we are going to move on to the next part, which is when you multiply this value by 1,000. And once you do that, what is going to happen is, once you head to the fourth bill or billion, we are going to approach this particular next stage, which is called the tree, which I'm going to write it in long form to be called the trillion. As you recognize, with all the issues with inflation and stuff like that, and this is really wonderful to see these not only represented in words but also in powers. And this is written in the powers of 10 to the exponent what? The exponent is going to be to the exponent 12. The billion, remember, the exponent of the 10 is expressed as 10 to the exponent what? 9. And so as we move on and on, once we start with a trillion, we're going to move on to the next stage, which is going to be called what? A quadrillion. So a quad, I'll just put U and D, and this is going to be written as what? Multiplied by another 1,000. Quadrillion is written in terms of the powers, and here we have the exponent to be what? Another 3, so it will be to the power of 15. And then we move on to the next stage. Sorry, this here is not symmetrical because of spacing reasons, and we move on to the next stage, which is 10 to the power of 18. And in here we're multiplying by 1,000, and this is represented as a quintillion, and this here has its exponent to be what? To the 18. So we see that as we multiply by 1,000, we are increasing in terms of the exponent, adding 3. And as we move on and on and on, quadrillion to 6 trillion to septrillion to octrillion, we can see a pattern that is repeating. So this shows that as you multiply by 1,000, we are moving 3 powers higher in terms of the exponent, and this here will be plus 3, 21, multiplied by another 1,000. This moves to power of plus 3, which is 24, and another 1,000, and we head to the power of, in this case, 27. So I hope you found this really informative in terms of how this billion to trillion, quadrillion, and so on. In addition to that, how we began from values that are 10 to the power of 3 after our specific bill, and so on. And so this is a little background on how to design your place value, and from here we can now design our general place value, which is working our way from top to bottom in order for we to be able to tell us what these particular digits that are at the top here is under in terms of the place value. See you on the next video. Stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.